Hello and welcome to another Metaphysical Monday, or should I say Manifestation Monday. So today we're going to talk about manifestation, and I'm going to share something I've never heard said specifically this way, so stay for that. That kind of happens toward the end. I gotta lead up to it. And one of my success stories in the method I used to get it, and it's all kind of in relation to the bigger tip, I guess you can say. So yeah, let's stick around for manifestation success story with a little tip and maybe some steps that you might be missing. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Melissa and we do Metaphysical Monday, not every Monday, but when I have a topic like this. I also do witchy subscription unboxings and random ass tarot readings, so if that's something you're interested in, stick around, hit the subscribe, do all that good stuff. Alright, so let's get into it. In a previous video, which I will probably link in the description box, or you can find it in my Metaphysical Monday playlist, if I forget to do the link. So, in that video, I share how I was prompted to revisit past manifestations because I didn't realize that they were due to the law of attraction, even though I was practicing at the time. So in that video, I shared how I managed to pay off $20,000 in credit card debt. So if that's of interest, I'll try to remember to pop the link in the description. So I didn't realize that I was practicing the law of attraction and I didn't even realize that some of this stuff was because of that. So that story's in that video. So for this one, I want to share another success story that I was reminded of during meditation. So the reason I was prompted to revisit all of those is because I was experiencing a blockage with a specific manifestation that I'm currently working on. And so I was kind of went into the meditation with what am I missing? What is missing here? And really it took me through all of them. And at the end I was like, okay, I didn't realize the connection. So it basically showed me the connections. So now I'm here to share it with you. I'm not, I would not call myself I don't want to use the word guru because that's, I feel like appropriating, but I'm not here to be a mentor. I'm not here to coach or guide you. I'm merely a muse, hopefully something that I say triggers something in you to do more research of your own. So I talk about manifestation a little bit. Mostly I talk about magic and that kind of practice. So keeping that in mind if you are interested in that stuff as well. All right, so today I want to share another one that I was reminded of during that meditation, and that is my dream car. So I wanted, I don't know for how long, but I remember seeing a Dodge Charger and I was like, that is a beautiful car. And I described it to my husband as it's like the shape of the car. It's like it reminds me of a curvy woman. I just had that, where the rear wheel wells were just reminded me of curvy hips. And it just had this really this association with it that was not a turn on, because that's kind of weird and that's definitely not a kink that I have. But I hope you understand where I'm going with this. There was a connection to it, okay? So that is a green flag, I guess you can say, was that was already there. More on that toward the end. So the method that I used was very simple, and it's one of the ones that very beginning, if your only exposure to the law of attraction was The Secret, the movie or the book, you could gain that method from that. It's very simple, and keeping things simple is important. If you overcomplicate things, that leaves room for blockages or doubts to come in, and that's not going to get you where you want to go. As Abraham Hicks says, you can't get from there to there. So I hope that makes sense. All right, so every time I saw a Dodge Charger, didn't matter what color it was, didn't matter what year it was, every time I saw one, I would say, either out loud or in my head, depending on the situation, that's my car. Or look how pretty my car is. Or what did I write down? Isn't my car gorgeous? That was a big one. And whether there was people around or not, I was just saying it either to myself, but apparently to my higher self, apparently to the vortex of things that I had been manifesting that's just brewing over here in the ether that we're just trying to vibrationally match to and become. I guess that's who I was saying it to. But you can say things to your higher self in your head. You don't have to say them out loud. So if that's not okay, if that's not available, that's fine. In your head is fine. But every time I saw it, I would say something along those lines, admiring it. But the act of saying that out loud triggered in here a feeling. Okay, and I feel like that's the key, and that's one of the keys, the big shocker reveal that you're waiting for, is saying those words triggered a feeling. Like, I just felt so happy that this car was mine, even though I knew it wasn't. It still triggered that feeling, and that's a key component, is that feeling. What else did I write down? I'm checking my notes. I have a lot of notes, so I know I look down a lot in all of my videos, and I'm sure people hate that, but I don't want to forget anything. And, you know, ADHD brain, if I don't write it down, it didn't happen, or it's not going to happen. Whole other manifestation thing. So, yeah, the act of making that declaration caused a feeling of appreciation. I appreciated it. It was mine. So here's why I think it worked. Because I combined an action, the saying or thinking, that's my car. Isn't my car gorgeous? Look how pretty my car is. That combination of action, even as simple as that action was, combined with that feeling, I feel like is how it got there, and how it came to be. So to tell you how I came to that car, to owning said car, you know, that's all I did. That's all I did. Every time I saw one on the road, I was actually a school bus driver at the time, and so I was on the road a lot, so I had a lot of opportunities. So I feel like creating a space where you have the opportunity to see what your goal is with your eyes, I feel like that helps a lot as well. Every time I would see it, I would say either in my head or out loud, that thing. So the combination of feeling and action is, I feel like, very important with manifestation. If you're missing that feeling, we'll get into that's later on. So I want to say it probably took 4 to 6 months. So don't put a time limit on your manifestations, because if you put a time limit and it doesn't happen within that time, you've created yourself another doubt. Anyways, so I just got a call from my husband one day after work, which seems to be the same way the 20 grand in debt got paid off, is kind of, there's a correlation there. I won't say all of the manifestations happen that way, but this one also happened that way. Hey, meet me at such and such dealership. Okay, why? Now, this was before everyone had cell phones. It was 2007. I think at the time I may have barely had a cell phone, and if I did, it wasn't one where it wasn't a smartphone. It was probably a flip phone, to be honest. So text messaging was a little, not harder to do, but you had to actually use like the number keys, and you'd have to like hit 5 3 times to get an L or whatever. It was back then. So it wasn't a whole lot of like, there was no video chat. There was like, I couldn't really ask questions because I was driving. So after work, I go there, and he's already in talks with like, they're already in the negotiation room or whatever you want to call it at a dealership, where you go into the office to sign papers. Met him there, and he was like, before we do this, I want you to test drive it. So I went out and test drove it around the block a little bit, and yes, it was everything I had dreamed of. And I was like, yes. He said, so when I test drove it, there was an issue I couldn't see when I was checking the blind spot. Is that a problem for you? He's about a foot taller than me, so it wasn't a problem for me. I could see just fine. That was the only issue. And that day, I do recall looking on the odometer when I was doing the test drive, and it had 52 miles on it. So that car had only left the lot for test drives, including when my husband test drove it. So brand new. It was a brand new car. And we purchased that car and we owned that car for 2 years, I believe. We ended up trading it in. That's a whole different story. But yeah, I managed to have my dream car. That's how it happened. So behind the scenes, let's take a look at the energetic how that happened. Aside from combining the action with the feeling, I feel like there's a catch, because it's easy to just say you have to combine an action with a feeling, and I feel like everyone has said that. I've heard that I don't know how many times. But the catch, the problem with that is we all have so many blockages with the feeling part. We can say affirmations, we can say look at my car, look at my house, like this is my house, this is my dream house, I live there, and you can pretend all you want, but if you're not feeling it, there's a missing component. And I feel like the problem that we have with that feeling aspect is that there are either consciously you think, yeah, I could never actually afford that, but you still say it, so it's still not going to come to you because you still have that back in the back of your mind going, how would you afford that? How could you make that happen? That's never going to happen for you. That house is too big for you. How are you going to keep that house clean? That house is too big. How are you going to maintain that yard? Whatever. Like, you're always going to have something back there. Oh, the repairs on that car are probably horrendous. There's always going to be some kind of little nagging thing in the back of your head. And a lot of that kind of comes not only from conscious, like trying to logically work out how that would work. That's going to stop your manifestation. But there's also like the subconscious programming that we've gone through. If you were in a situation through childhood where you were taught, I like going off of what I remember in the notes, and I can't find it in the notes. But I want to make sure I get it the exact way that I wrote it down. If your brain thinks it's impossible, either conscious or due to subconscious programming, you're less likely to have the feeling. So it's not that your manifestation isn't going to come if you don't feel. It's going to stop you from having the degree of feeling that will really propel this. That's the key component. So I believe the first step, here comes the big secret, not secret, but the thing that I've not heard anybody connect in any manifestation or magical practice also, is to have the underlying belief that anything is possible. If you don't believe that anything is possible, the things that you want that you don't think are possible are not going to come for you. And I feel like that's a little bit harsh, but I feel like the energetic reality of the thing. So moving on, if you don't believe that, or were raised to believe that you have to work for everything, if you were raised where you were told as an adolescent or a child, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't work hard at it. If you don't work at this homework, then you're going to fail. You're not going to be a success. If you grew up with work ethic advice and everything came down to work ethic, and if you're not working hard enough, well, the reason that you didn't get a good grade is because you didn't work hard enough. Well, the reason that you came in second in that race was because you didn't work hard enough. You didn't practice hard enough. So having that ingrained in you as a child creates that subconscious, well, you didn't work for it. You didn't deserve it. There's going to be a lot of work involved. Are you sure you really want that? It's going to create doubt. So I feel like the underlying part of that first is to start working on the belief that anything is possible. We'll get into kind of how you can do that toward the end. Yes, work will yield results. I'm not saying that, work doesn't equal results. It does, but it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. Some people might disagree with me. Yes, action needs to take place, but action doesn't have to equal work. Hear that again. Action does not equal work. Okay? Action can be changing your thought processes. Action can be catching yourself in a negative pattern and going, oh, that's not where I want to go. Let's switch the momentum around and redirect that thought. That's an action. There are actions that are not work. So another key takeaway I suppose you could have from that. Or if you've identified yourself with past failures. If you've identified yourself with past or by past failures, if you know, let's say, I don't know that anybody in this circumstance would watch my video, but let's say you went to school for all these years to become a lawyer, and you take the bar exam and you don't pass the bar exam. Now you have labeled yourself a failure. Not everyone does, not saying that. Or you took, you dropped out and you wanted to get your GED and you didn't make it the first time. Any type of thing where you have failed and you've been like, well, shit, I'm just an utter failure. I can't do anything right. That is putting, kind of squashing the anything is possible. So if you've identified yourself as a failure due to past failures, you have work to do. So curious, is this new to you? The having to have the mindset, or I don't want to say it's a requirement, but it's going to be far more helpful than a lot of things that I've heard from so-called mentors. And that is adopting the mindset before trying to manifest anything, that anything is possible. I feel like I don't see that enough. I feel like I've heard people say anything is possible if you just believe. Anything is possible. But correlating that to the mindset that you need to have in order to make your manifestations come to you, I haven't really heard that. So is that something new? If it's not new, if you've heard somebody say this exact thing, can you tell me who it was? Because I want to follow them, because I feel like we're like here. So yes, 100%. Call me out if somebody else has already said it. I haven't heard it, but please, if you know of anyone who has said that is like the main foundation of manifestation, please let me know who that is, because I want to be their friend. Or at least, see what else they have to say, because I feel like we're on to something. Anyways, all right, so how to do it? So, like I said, I feel like the number one thing is believing anything is possible. Now, if you've been brought up, as most of us here in the U.S. at least, believing that you have to work for what you achieve, and that you're not going to achieve anything if you don't work for it, that's going to be a more difficult one. But I feel like if you work on that and build that as your foundation, you're going to see a lot more ease with manifesting. So how can you start to adopt the mindset that anything is possible? Well, I wrote down 2 specific things. Affirmations is always a go-to. Literally just repeating to yourself, anything is possible. But also recounting and journaling your successes. Kind of similar to what I was put through a few weeks ago, where I did a meditation, and then all of these manifestations that I didn't realize were connected to law of attraction started showing up for me. Start journaling things that you didn't think were possible that happened. There's a quote from a movie. The impossible is impossible until it happens. Something along those lines. And it was not like some profound movie. I think it was like Men in Black. The Men in Black movie with the multi-dimensional dude who can see all realities at all times, and it's like, well, if this is the reality where somebody walks through the door, then we're in trouble. That episode, that guy says a lot of insightful stuff. I don't know who wrote that. But I was like, damn, years after having seen it as entertainment, now you see other things everywhere you look. Once you start being in more of a spiritual mindset, you start to see the messages clearly in things that you don't think are going to have a message, like an alien movie called Men in Black with Will Smith and I don't know what the other guy's name is in that episode, but it's not Tommy Lee Jones. I think he's in it, but he like his younger self. Anyways, all right, enough about the movie. You've probably seen it. But journaling those successes that you didn't think were possible that happened. There are a lot of people who didn't think they would be alive past 18 or 20. Start there if that is your situation. Anything that you have accomplished that you didn't think 10 years ago would be possible, write it down. And that will be your physical evidence that anything is possible. And it will start to create that neural pathway, because that's a lot of what I feel like manifestation and even witchcraft to a degree is spicy psychology. We're creating new neural pathways. We're creating a new groove in the brain where that is the normal. That is the baseline. And you want your baseline in your brain to believe anything is possible. So if you were the first person in your family to attend college or graduate college, you probably didn't think that was possible at some point, or other people didn't think it was possible for you. It doesn't have to just be things that you didn't think were possible. It can include things that other people thought were not possible for you. For example, I had a baby when I was 17 in high school. I remember, they were born, I want to say, about a month before high school graduation. And I graduated early, gave birth, took 2 weeks off, and went back to school to do my last credit. Like, I had like 1 credit left and I went into labor. So I would have finished before the birth. At the hospital, because of my age, there were a lot of very clear indications that people didn't think that I could do this. One of those being the nurses didn't bring the baby to me for several hours. Several hours. I had to call the nurse and say, "Where's my baby? Why haven't you brought them to me?" I had visitors that had come and they couldn't see the baby. During that time, they gave my baby formula, which I was pretty adamant that I wanted to exclusively breastfeed. That baby was exclusively breastfed, aside from that and 1 formula bottle that I had to give at the mall. Anyways, because somebody was uncomfortable with me nursing at the mall. Anyways, so that's just one of those things. People had doubts that I would be an exclusive breastfeeder. That baby breastfed for 13 months. 13 months. So yeah, one of those things that either other people doubted you for or that you doubted yourself for. Start listing those things. Journal about them. Start to create that groove in your brain that says literally anything is possible. I feel like that is going to be foundation for this. Next, feeling it. Okay, so seeing is believing is out the window. We don't believe that here. Believing is seeing. Feeling is seeing. There's no, you got to see it to believe it. You don't. You can see it in your mind. You can see it on paper when you write it down. It doesn't have to physically be there for you to feel it. So how can I get that feeling? How can I feel it without it being there? And I feel like a lot of people ask in the I've been listening to Abraham Hicks recordings for years. And a lot of the questions start that way. Well, how do I feel it when my experience and everything around me is showing me that that's wrong or that it's not there? The empty spot in my driveway tells me that I don't have that damn car. Here are some ways that you can feel it, okay? Recall events where you felt excited or gratitude. Doesn't have to be related to whatever you're manifesting. We'll stick to the car thing because that's what I started with. You don't have to visualize what you're manifesting. You don't have to visualize that car. Visualizing it in your head and start feeling about that car. That may not work for everyone, but what you can do is try what makes me excited. Start broad in general. What makes me excited? What is the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me? Birth of a child, wedding, being reunited with a family member, anything that has happened in your life that you feel excited about. Walking into a clean house when you left it dirty as a mom, that would make me excited. So anything, it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be grand, anything that makes you feel excited. Taking your bra off at the end of the day. If it makes you feel good, you can use that. So draw on that event. Think about that event until the feeling starts to show up. And then, bam, you have the feeling. Now switch the event. Switch the event to that car, that house, whatever you're manifesting, that huge windfall, while you still have that feeling present. It's kind of a trick, but that's kind of how the brain works. Sometimes we got to trick our brain into believing things. I feel like that would be, that's the only one I wrote down. I feel like that's a really good one, at least to get started with. Recall an event where you felt excited, or a gift that you received where you felt extreme gratitude. Because I honestly feel like people say, you know, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, and they go through gratitude affirmations. They're saying them, but they're not feeling. What does gratitude actually feel like? You don't know unless you're actively like feeling it. Like, how can you describe with words what gratitude feels like? It's very difficult. If you were to describe it, you would probably recount an event, correct? What does gratitude feel like? Well, it feels like when somebody gives you your favorite flavor of ice cream and you didn't even know dessert was an option. Whatever, you know, like you would describe an event. That's what gratitude feels like. But nobody describes physically in your body what it feels like to be grateful. So recalling events that made you feel that. Recall the event in great detail until you have that feeling. And don't right away switch it. Live in that feeling with that event for a little bit and ease the event. You can even like, okay, so let's say we're recalling your wedding day. Okay, greatest day. So you're going through all of the details. You're remembering what the cake looked like. You're remembering the bridesmaid speech. You're remembering the bouquet toss. You're remembering all of these details, right? And then you're starting to feel that feeling. You're getting it. That feeling is showing up. You're getting it. Like your heart feels full. You can't wipe the smile off of your face. You're in it. You've got it. It's locked. So then at the end of the wedding, you guys walk out and there's your car. Transition it a little bit. Get creative if you can. Transition it a little bit. The car that you guys get into is your dream car. The car that you're manifesting. You're in the car. What seat are you in? Where are you driving to? What does it smell like? What music is playing? All while still entertaining that feeling that you created. Transition it a little bit. So there's that. All right. So next, take action. We've already gone over action, but I did list a few things. Affirmations, of course, that's like the go-to. But also a future journal. There's like a name for it, and I can't remember what it's called. A future journal, but you write in present tense. It might just be a future journal. I don't know. Where you are writing, you know, today I won the lottery. I won $6.8 million in the Mega Millions jackpot, whatever it's called. And this is what I'm going to do with it. But you're writing it in the present tense. This is how I feel about it. It feels like a miracle. But I know that anything is possible. And I have proven that anything is possible because I have done something that nobody thought I could do. Or that nobody thinks that they could do. And I've done it. I've achieved it. So you're writing in the present tense. I have this now. And it makes me feel good. Okay? That is an action that you can take. So journaling. Manifestation journaling is not a new idea. It's not a new concept. Just something that you can do. And if you do it right on the heels of the feeling exercise where you transition from an actual event into an event that is the goal, if you do it right on the heels of that while you're still in that feeling, oh my God, that's gonna be the stuff right there. Okay, so and then the other thing that I wrote down as far as actions, sigils. I talk about sigils a lot. It's one of my favorite ways to manifest or use magic. I even wrote a book. It's not like a full written book, and I don't even think it's in this room. Oh no, it's with my clipboard because I take it with me everywhere. But it's called the Sigil Workbook, and it talks a little bit about how sigils work and how to create one, and then it has workbook pages with different methods that you can use to create a sigil. Sigils are my jam. That was sigils are my jam. That's better. Okay, so next step, combining the action with feeling, which I kind of went through. You know, if you do that exercise where you're recalling an event and then you journal about how now you're in this car and you're already living in that feeling, you're combining the two. I wrote a couple of other things that you can do if you don't just do them back to back, because who has time to do all of that at once? A lot of us have to break it into sections, if I'm not alone in that. Meditate, recalling an event. Until, yeah, I already said that. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I guess that was the same thing. I wrote that twice. Lovely. All right, so you're combining it. You're combining the action with the feeling. Okay. Now, you've done that. You've laid the foundation, and you now believe that absolutely anything is possible. You have done things. You've done hard things, and I think I said that in the other video. You have and can do hard things and survived. So you now believe that anything is possible. You are working on getting the feeling right. You know how it feels, and now you can tap into that feeling on command almost, if you will. Then you're taking action. You're writing in your journal, you're making sigils, you're doing things, you're reciting affirmations while you're driving. You're taking action. And now you're combining the two. You're meditating on that event, combining an event with a feeling, and then transitioning into the new event that you want to have happen. And you're combining that action, that visualization action, with that feeling. Okay? Last step is to trust and allow. That's like the hardest part, though. Okay, maybe not. They're all individually, I feel like if you don't have any of these down, they're all the hardest part. But for me, I can do the other stuff pretty easily. I've been at this for over a decade with the law of attraction. I've manifested some really cool shit that I didn't even associate until today, or not today, but until like recently. All of this cool stuff that I didn't realize I was making for myself. Anyways, but the trusting and allowing, patience is not my strong suit. So trusting and allowing, like I said earlier in the video, don't put a timestamp on it. Don't put a time limit on it, because you could say, I need this month. I need to make the rent this month. And it doesn't come this month. So then that manifestation has just gone with the wind, because you put a time limit on it. So now it's not going to ever come because you said I need it this month. And since you don't have it this month, now subconsciously it's gone. The opportunity is gone. So if you leave that door wide open and let it come when it comes, you'll get what you need. Another reason why I say, kind of start broad or general, that's also from Abraham Hicks. Didn't make that up myself, but some help for trusting and allowing. I wrote, redirect your attention, distract yourself, prepare for the thing, and expect it to come. So redirecting your attention. After you've done this, is that you've created your sigil. This is common information with sigil work, is once you've created your sigil, I hate it when people say it that way. When you've created your sigil, forget about it. Forget what it looks like, forget it exists, destroy it, burn it, all of that. Yes, to a certain extent, unless there are other circumstances. I have sigil videos too, if you want to find those. But redirecting your attention. So working on this manifestation, you did your visualization exercise, you've done the affirmations, you felt it, you did the work, you combined the feeling with the action, you did that. Now find something else to do. Take your mind off of it. Now is the time to go scrub the toilet. I wouldn't do that because you want to keep the vibration high, but you get what I'm saying. Now go shopping for things to go with the thing that you're manifesting. Go buy a steering wheel cover, even though it probably won't fit the car that you actually get, because that's a thing. But anyway, redirect your attention, distract yourself somehow. Go create art. Go, whatever your favorite hobby is, go distract yourself from the manifestation in something that feels good for you. Prepare for it and expect it. Like I said, leave room in the driveway for that new car. Expect it to happen. If you're manifesting a car that runs on diesel, let's say, or truck, I guess, that runs on diesel, take notice when you're filling up your current vehicle of the diesel at the gas station. Whatever gas station you go to, make sure you look for the pump that has the diesel nozzle, because not all of them have it. Not all gas stations have diesel, as far as I know. So go to, just prepare your mind mentally for what you're going to need for that manifestation. Just an example. And then expect it to happen. Expecting it to happen. because anything is possible. So that's what I have on this particular manifestation story that ended up being 35 minutes long unintentionally. Thought this was going to be a faster video, but that's what I have for you. If you have any questions or you want to hear some more of these success stories that happen in a similar way, I have some other really cool stories if you're down for that. So let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this far if you're still here. Always remember that the magic you seek is within you. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.